Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I'm your host, founder of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of our show. Uh, we're gonna dive right in. So, in an unprecedented move by an artist, uh, Justin Bieber had some news for us here this evening or last evening, depending on what time zone you're in when you are watching or listening to this episode. And so, first and foremost, Voices for Voices is proud to promote Justin Bieber's new album titled Wag. It's out tonight. And if you take a listen, you just might hear one of our guests that we've had before by the name of David Solomon. And we want to definitely hashtag justice for victims. And the one of the big departures from let's call it not only just an announcement perspective, but from a, hey, where can we find this album? Because you're not going to be able to find it in very many places, and that is by design. Uh, we we won't get into specifics. You can do research on that yourself. Um, but as far as where you're able to find this particular new album from Justin Bieber titled Swag. I'm just trying to pull it up myself because uh, the the internet's just blowing up right now, and so we're trying to gather that that information, and with that, you can head on over to make this purchase. It's not going to be available in, what we would consider, traditional avenues. And you're going to want to go to shop, which is SHOP dot justinbiebermusic.com. So that is shop dot Justin, Justin, Bieber, Bieber, music, music.com. So once again, that is shop.justinbiebermusic.com. That's where you exclusively will be able to find uh, this particular new album from Justin Bieber. This was a, a shock to the world uh, for uh, for several reasons. We're going to get into maybe a couple of those, and again, we want to give our unwavering support uh, at Voices for Voices, and me personally, Justin Allen Hayes, to promote this new endeavor that just dropped from Justin Bieber, and that is a new album entitled Wag, which you can spell SWAG, and that is just out tonight or last night or yesterday, depending on when you watch and or listen to this particular episode. And again, we want to hashtag uh, front and center. We want to hashtag justice for victims. And so when we get into uh, what that means, Justice for Victims. Justice, and we'll say in our good faith understanding that justice is, holding someone or someone's uh, responsible for an action, and usually the action or actions are uh, considered crime. And so that's justice. And then the letters FOR, victims. And a victim is somebody who has been taken advantage of in one way or another without their consent. And so that's why we want to bring that front and center, this hashtag of justice for victims, because Justin is giving a rare glimpse, and a rare transparent glimpse at that, for this album. Um, there's a lot of things we want you to purchase this. We want you to uh, purchase this for yourself, for others. Our understanding is within the first hour that it came out, there was over a million copies sold. And so we want to point you in that direction. You're not going to be able to find this album in traditional methods, traditional places. Again, it's going to be exclusively at that URL, which you'll also be able to find in the description, as well as it may also be available for purchase on Spotify. We're trying to verify that Spotify. We know for sure it is the album is for sure able to purchase at that URL that we're given. Uh, Justin himself gave that in the drop tonight or last night, whatever time frame you wanna call it. And so it's a departure because, for one, uh, the album isn't going to be available widely, like tends to be the case for when albums and songs drop. And so that's a huge departure. And then secondly, we talked about this hashtag justice for victims. We understand Nicki Minaj, uh, part of this project. We want to thank her for uh, for the support that she's given to Justin Bieber, uh, throughout his career, and especially now. And we'll talk about the victims. And you've heard us, you've seen us talk and share and talk and share and talk and share about human trafficking the last couple months, pretty heavy, pretty heavy on that area, that topic. And that's one of the big areas that Justin is addressing with this album, and which we support uh, and are proud to promote, is he definitely supports human trafficking survivors and anybody that was a victim of human trafficking. Because unfortunately, as we know, not all trafficking individuals make it out alive. That's the sad reality, but it's reality nonetheless. The other part is Justin himself, Justin Bieber himself, was human trafficked himself. And so that's a pretty big bombshell that the world's trying to understand. And that is another huge departure for an artist to share such intimate, transparent details about their personal life. But Justin believes, just the way we do at Voices for Voices, that human trafficking is an area that needs some more attention at the minimum. And we have in the past, we have and will continue, just as Justin have, call out and ask and plead for help from President Donald J. Trump, his administration, whether that's Kash Patel at the FBI, Deputy Director of the FBI Dan Bongino, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, Attorney General Pam Bondi. The names are the names, but we're asking for more action, if that makes sense. And Justin's made that very clear tonight with the drop of his new album, Swag. There are conversations that occur on this album, and on albums, it just really varies by artist. Uh, how much discussion, how much talking actually goes on during a song, before a song, after a song, in between. And that's another huge departure is the type of, and again, you may not like it, but a fact is a fact. And Justin has brought receipts with him. He's letting you in firsthand to see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears, or have somebody use sign language if uh, if that's your method of communication. And that's huge. It's huge for anybody to share. It's huge for an organization like Voices for Voices that talk about to come out and share stories, experiences from people who have experienced human trafficking, mainly David Solomon. And I can't even fathom what it would be like. So I'm not gonna pretend that I can. But from a purely human perspective, a humane perspective, taking advantage of another human. And again, there's a wide variety of ways, physically, mentally, spiritually, relationship wise, pulling us away from our families and our parents. There's a whole host of just awful tools at the disposal of people that choose to be a human trafficker, wherever you're at on that continuum. If you're not sure where you are on that continuum, if you are on that continuum, you probably should ask and you probably should figure that out because the last place you're going to want to find that out is when it's too late and you think, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known that. I didn't think this person was in any way, shape, or form doing this uh, activity, things to others in such an inhumane manner. So that's something that you got to think real long and hard about. Because if you're associated with somebody like that, that's not a good thing. But we want to bring it back to Justin Bieber tonight on this show because he's taken a stand. He's not on drugs. He's crying out for help. He's crying out for justice for victims, namely human trafficking. With him, unfortunately, being in that group of victims of a human trafficking victim and a human trafficking survivor. And we've done a number of shows. We've talked about terms, what human trafficking is. We've talked about different ways. We've had Mr. Solomon, uh, share his just uh, his story, and it's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking to hear these events and think, well, that's crazy. That doesn't happen here. Well, it does. It actually happens much closer to us than uh, whether you want to think so or not. It just does. This isn't something that only happens in faraway land. It happens here in the United States of America, which is why, just as Justin Bieber has, and as we have as an organization, Voices for Voices, and myself reached out for, again, President Donald J. Trump, his administration are doing a remarkable job in the area of human trafficking, child exploitation, but there's more that needs to be done. We're only unfortunately scratching the surface of this. This is a deeper problem. There's more people connected, and we're pleading for your help, Mr. President. We know you have such a big heart for the human being as well as law and order and justice. Those are big areas that you were elected on. And I know I'll probably get some pushback and that. Uh, but Mr. President, I voted for you. And so I'm asking also as a voter, as a human being, as a United States of America citizen that is the leader of a nonprofit charity, Voices for Voices, to please step up the pressure. Please deploy as many resources as you can to this. I've made multiple calls to multiple agencies within your administration, as well as so many others. And so there's, different phases, right? You have people that they don't want to speak out because they're afraid that they don't want to. And then even people that will reach out, then they don't hear anything. And then they call back and then they don't hear anything. And then they just give up. They give up asking, they give up calling because they feel that they're not being heard. And we don't want that to continue to be the case with human trafficking anywhere in the world, but especially in our great nation, the United States of America, especially for US citizens. And so what Justin Bieber did tonight is heroic. Anybody that knows me knows that there's just going to be haters no matter what, for whatever reason. They're going to say, oh, he's making this up and whatever. You know, there's there's just going to be people like that. Say that's not happening here, and we would know more. And well, hate to break it to any of you, but life's not fair. There's things that happen that shouldn't happen, that are happening, that have happened, and will continue to happen if heroic efforts like tonight and the dropping of this album Swag by Justin Bieber and the stand that he is making for human trafficking survivors and people like himself that uh, nobody should ever have to go through what he's gone through or what Mr. Solomon's gone through or anybody else. There's so many others that don't make it out. They don't make it out alive. And their deaths are not in vain. They're just not. And so, as boldly as we are at Voices for Voices, as we have been, And again, there's been, continue to be people that will come out against, but that's okay. That's what makes this nation great. We're able to have free speech, but just as the haters and the people that want to rise up against people like Justin Bieber and myself and Voices for Voices and David Solomon and the thousands of others, we're taking a stand. And by Justin's heroic efforts tonight to do what has just not been done. We talked about the album only being available in a super limited locations, and that there's conversations. I believe there might be even video or photos also. I'm not going to get into who's in those and that while we have a good solid intelligence that Mr. Solomon maybe heard somewhere on that album. We just want we want help. We want to help people in the area of human trafficking. If they come forward, it's already hard enough to endure. Like I said, I can't even imagine what it's like, but it's got to be really hard to endure any type of human trafficking or trafficking, whatever, however you want to coin the term. But then to make it out, to be a survivor, to reach out to law enforcement, reach out to government officials, and not have anything done or very little done, that is what we call another tragedy. And so if you're somebody that can do something, that can take human trafficking here in the United States seriously and won't rest until not one child, not one adult ever has to go through this again. If you're somebody that you don't want to get into it because of whatever reason, please step aside, find another profession. Don't take up the space that somebody who will do action and will help clean up a lot of areas, but especially this human trafficking. We have one of the most gifted entertainers and artists of our time, Justin Bieber, who was a human trafficking survivor. And he's talking about a lot of same individuals. We've brought fact after fact after fact for our viewers, our listeners, and we were laughed to the side, and um, we're harassed to this day. Again, if you're in a position of power and influence where you're able to do something and you don't, please step aside. Please. If you're not going to do anything, please step aside. our time is limited on Earth. Please don't take a position, take an oath to only turn your back on some of the most vulnerable people. So that's what we would like. We like, Mr. President, continue doing what you're doing. Step it up a few notches, and that's really saying something for you because you've stepped it up a lot more notches than the average person. And then for those that in those positions of power and influence and authority that don't want to do this because maybe their pockets are being lined with money and favors from the very people that are doing these awful activities, this awful human trafficking. This is my opinion, but you should be investigated and you should be thrown out of office. I mean, straight up. If you're going to be corrupt, there's not three strikes. One strike and you're out. And so Justin Bieber, thank you for what you have done tonight and the compilation of this album. I know it couldn't have been easy to have to relive some of these activities. So just from a human to a human, we just happen to have the same first name. Thank you for taking a stand, stepping up. You have a platform unlike a whole lot of us. And so for you to use that to help make the world, the United States, children, people everywhere safer and holding those accountable who are making the world more dangerous, our country more dangerous. We want to say thank you. And so we're going to end this episode and say, as we did at the beginning, Voices for Voices is proud to promote Justin Bieber's new album, Swag, which is out tonight. And if you take a listen, you might hear one of the guests we've had for a few episodes. He too, being a human trafficking survivor like Justin Bieber. And we want to think about this hashtag, Justice for Victims. And again, say thank you to Nicki Minaj, anybody else that is helping in these efforts. And thank you, President Trump, for what you have done. And we're asking for even more and more and more and more help. Let's help save these children. Let us help save another human being. We can do it. We can do it together. And Justin's album, Swag, can be found at his personal website and potentially on Spotify. But we highly recommend you go through Justin's website uh, because we know with certainty that you'll be able to get his new album. And so until next time, We're going to continue to cover heavy and hard and difficult topics and areas that others won't, but Justin Bieber will, and he has. So thank you. And we ask our viewers, our listeners, say thank you for tuning in. Please be a voice for you or somebody in need. And from there, we invite you to help make a difference, help be that change. Look in the mirror and say, yes, I can be part of the solution. I am part of the solution. We can do it. We can do it together. Thank you, Justin. Thank you.